This year marks the 50th anniversary of the Toho tokusatsu show Zone Fighter, which made its debut on April 2nd, 1973. Last time I went through episodes 1 through 4, and today I'm going to be talking about episodes 5 through 8. Episode 5, Shootdown, King Ghidorah. This time, the Garoga send King Ghidorah to Earth to destroy the Research Institute before they can launch their newly found blue-green system. Ghidorah is met with a squad of jets who can't even really get near him before blowing up. The human fights don't really do much for me in this episode, aside from it's cool to see the sister fighting in a dress and heels. Anyone who wants to see little kid hijinks will get scenes like this. Okay, this throw was pretty cool. The stationary in-air Ghidorah doesn't look great, and when he is moving around while flying, his necks aren't nearly as fluid as you're probably used to. Anyways, the Garoga have finally succeeded in something, which is blocking out the sun to deplete the zone's power, causing Zone Fighter to be easily thrown around by this Ghidorah's wings. Grandpa Zone uses Radiki, which at the toll of some of his own life force, shoots Ghidorah with a lightning bolt, which also clears the sun. The Zone family then also removes a gem from their computer, which, if I'm getting this correctly, makes them more susceptible to future Garoga attacks, but gives Zone Fighter more energy, which he then uses to lure Ghidorah away from the Earth and into space. They then hit us with a to be continued, which is nice. I was expecting every episode to be mainly one-offs. There's some pseudoscience that I'm almost always a fan of, and it's cool to see Ghidorah and the older zones doing something. But this feels incomplete, because it is. I'll give more thoughts after the next episode. Episode 6, King Ghidorah's Counterattack. Sorry everyone who's new here, I say Ghidorah because I grew up with the Ghidorah dub. Anyways, Zone Fighter tries to lead Ghidorah to Venus, but somewhere along the way Ghidorah stopped following, so he then hurries back to Earth where the rest of the Zone family has been captured. So we know that at least 3 of the Zone family can transform into their superhero outfits, but the car can as well. I love nonsense like that. Anyways, he does successfully save the rest of the family from the Garoga, and their Bond villain-esque takes way too long to get to the death part of the setup contraption. Elsewhere, cars are getting sucked into the air. It's pretty cool visually to see a bunch of cars floating around, and the shots of panic drivers are effective. This is because Ghidorah's back. There's a fight, and then later a space fight, and then a Venus fight. Space fight was pretty lackluster, but I do enjoy the Venus fight aesthetic. Space backdrop, rocks with smoke machines and red lights as terrain. Wires are very visible when Ghidorah is on the ground here. Zone Fighter really goes to town, seemingly breaking Ghidorah's necks. In typical Showa Ghidorah fashion, he eventually just runs, well, I guess flies away, and the Zone family return back to Earth. This episode is, let's say, significant, not sure if it will be important later or not, in that the spaceship the Zone family uses to take Zone Fighter into space before the Venus fight was the one they were saving to go back home, apparently only able to make one full trip. They all agree that they will use it now and not go back home later, and that Earth is their new home and that they are now Earthlings. But they have a whole lab in their basement, surely they can figure out a way to refuel it, right? Either way, some character development was had. Episode 7, Zone Family's Critical Moment. Episode starts off with Dragon King appearing and attacking some buildings. Right before he is able to destroy a dam, Zone Fighter appears and saves it. Fight ensues. I know I say I always like flamethrower breath, and I do, but the part emitting the flames on Dragon King is super visible and doesn't blend in at all. The music for this whole segment sucks, and it makes it less exciting than it should be. Thankfully, it goes to the regular Zone Fighter fight music after a bit, and Zone Fighter destroys Dragon King with a barrage of missiles. Onto the actual plot, the Zone family members are getting abducted again. this time replaced by Garoga disguised as them, or at least the daughter. Plan doesn't work out as the Garoga is unable to blend in well and gives up pretty easily. Good guys getting abducted, Garoga plans failing, Zone Fighter killing kaiju with missiles. Things are feeling a bit repetitive already at episode 7. Not sure if I've mentioned this on my channel yet or not, but I love martial arts fights involving people wearing suits. Not sure why, I guess, due to novelty and style probably. There's a second bad kaiju in this episode, Gilmaris. And I don't know, he looks wacky, which I'm normally into, but not this time. But he does have 2 tails, which is neat. At one part of the fight, Zone Fighter rips off the tip of Gilmaris' nose, perhaps a horn, and then sticks it backwards. That was nice. Gilmaris is eventually defeated and blown up by the meteor missile might move, like so many before him. Tiring. Episode ends with all well again for the Zone family. Wish there was more 2-part episodes, honestly, but I get it. That was the norm at the time, and for a long time after the show was made. This episode wasn't all bad, but probably my least favorite so far. Episode 8, Overcome, the terrifying Invader. There's something special about rotoscoped fire. Garogas throwing their antennas cool. Kid with gun. Another abduction, this time the store owner. It's a trap to lure in the Zone family. Monster this episode is Ghidorah. I almost said Ghidorah, but that's another pronunciation for Ghidorah. Anyways, I'm indifferent on this guy's design. Once again, breath dispenser very visible and not well blended with the suit. We do get a non-missile end to the fight, a decapitation even. So that's nice. Aside from the decapitation, however, I wasn't feeling this episode either. Hopefully the next batch of episodes will be better. Thanks for watching.